Welcome to the Sunday Funday Podcast. Your hangover never sounded so good. My name's Akil Patterson. That's Eli E-Money, the young blood. And today we have former U.S. national champion, Bellator fighter, MMA extreme guy, crazy son of a bitch out of Baltimore, Patrick, who I just learned his first name is actually James, Downey the Third. Let's get to it here on the Sunday Funday Podcast. Your hangover never sounded so good. What's going on, Patrick?
What's up, man? I love the intro. I appreciate that, Akil. Nice to meet you, Eli. This is cool, man. Chop it up with a former, Baltimore native. Actually, you from Baltimore? Where are you from?
No, I'm not. I wasn't born in Baltimore. I was not born in Baltimore. I was actually born in New York, but I moved to Maryland, and I spent all my time down there, hanging out with the entire Golden Ring crew because that's where the best wrestlers were coming out of back in the day. If you don't know about Golden Ring guys, you're one of the old heads back in the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably one of the last, of the Tommy DiCarlo era for sure. Now they kind of revamped the program. You got Ron Wagner running it and stuff, which is still really cool, but it's not the same. To your point, if you were a tough, hard-nosed kid from like Northeast Baltimore, Rosedale, that area, Golden Ring was where you were at. We weren't like the other clubs. Like, you had back in the day, you had Mount Airy, which I eventually ended up going and joining. But yeah, the Vipers, you had all these other clubs, but they were recruiting. They were travel teams from guys from all over. This was like we were all local kids, So a lot of tough mugs come from Golden Ring.
A lot of tough kids came out of those programs, and I definitely I used to head up there just because they were just hard-nosed kids, and you had the Darren Cattle, all those guys that would go up there. Sadly he passed away many years ago, but. Patrick, I was thinking about things, as I get older, right? And I always like to tell people as I get older, I start to reflect on life. And, you cross my spirit, right? And God said, you know what? My God told me, you got to reach out to this guy because you need to find out what he's been up to. You've had the peaks and valleys of a career over the last couple of years. I mean, you're a guy who supported Trump, said Black Lives Matter. You can't win for trying type of guy. Like everyone always gets mad at you for something, kid you. And then, you were on top of the world. You were U.S. national champion, really striving for greatness. And then just all of a sudden it just kind of just dissipated for a little bit. And you said, recently you told me, you're resetting yourself and rethinking about how you're coming up and presenting yourself. But tell me about this last couple of years in your journey and your experience into, just being a man.
Yeah, man, I gladly, yeah. That's huge, right? That's what life is, though. To your point, with the highs and the lows, the peaks and the valleys. Ever since I can remember, I've had a tumultuous career, filled, outside of wrestling and competing as an athlete, just battling adversity, just, in and out of trouble with, the law. Then I kind of put that behind me, and then I go have some success. Then I go to college, and that's a similar path of the peaks and the valleys. And then, I'm on top of the world, right? I'm, U.S. champ, undefeated in America for a couple years, competing at the highest level, representing our country, which still, being a Team USA constituent, greatest honor I've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
God willing, I'm able to make a comeback. And, whether it's in MMA or wrestling or grappling, I love competing. Nothing about that has ever changed. But a lot of things that people don't know is, especially doing this full time and making your living off of it, it's just hard on your mental, your physical, your spiritual. It's not easy being in the limelight and kind of, like you said, not feeling like you can win, like, not kind of being accepted for who you are, kind of,
Yeah.
they want you to be, they want to love you for who you're not. You got to play the role, right? And that's life. Like I didn't fit in the USA wrestling box. And it's not because I ever changed, but it's because I was the same me that now had this platform, and I'm representing the country. So, before I would get in trouble for whatever it was, and now I'm losing my whole career over some tweets. I might have had a few drinks the night before. I said, well, women don't get paid as much as men because not as many people watch them. Next thing I know, I wake up and my RTC's gone, which is my salary. My stipend's gone, which is USA Wrestling. My Titan Mercury Wrestling Club ability to compete and travel is gone. Sponsorships are gone. That was about $150,000 tweet right there. You know what I mean? And I said the whole world champ are homeless. And I guess I took that shit to heart because your boy was homeless. So I went down to South Florida to regroup. And again, that might not have been the best area for me either, because, of someone who battles with, different vices, and, I probably have every addiction you can think of. So conquering that, and while trying to juggle being a world-class athlete with fighting and grappling and wrestling, it's a lot to manage. So I'm back in Baltimore and I'm reset a little bit.
Hey man, sometimes you got to go home just to kind of, familiarize yourself, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I remember one of the greatest, this is a great proud moment. I'm going to share a proud moment for you that I had. So I was talking to JD when you were down there in Florida. And
Coach Robbins.
Yeah, Coach Robbins. And I told him, I said, hey, thank you so much. I said, I can see Pat as a different person than he was when he was up with us. And I was like, just thank you. Because, truth was, I don't think people know, like, you witnessed the feds come into your house. Like
multiple times.
Yeah, like you were a kid and you witnessed the feds come in your house. Like, it's messed up, but people don't realize, like, yo, you know how that fucks up with a kid's head?
Yeah, like I didn't. My daddy wasn't an airplane pilot. My uncle's catching RICO cases. Still the only drug kingpin in Anne Arundel County history. I'm the only white kid in Burdick Park. I as much as I would love to fit in with Team USA and stuff, I just look at the guys and I'm like, I catch myself in awe and amazement, because I'm like, wow, outside of this wrestling, we ain't got shit in common, fellas. Like
yeah, everyone always. That's why when you said. Yeah, when you said Black Lives Matter, people got mad at you, and I was like, yo, you guys got to realize this dude, that's who those were his road dogs in the city of Baltimore. This guy wasn't scared to go anywhere in Baltimore. Nowhere.
Yeah. No, I walk from fucking Northeast Baltimore down over to West Baltimore, down Pennsylvania Ave, down Eastern Ave. I'm from Moravia Road. Like y'all mugs don't understand. Like Black lives do matter to me. And I love Trump for being outspoken. And guess what? Y'all are on both sides are going to fuck with me, because I'm not on either one of y'all side. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck, Akil. Like I have a hard time fitting in, brother.
I swear to God, trust me. I've always had a hard time fitting in. But when I was like, yo, Pat can't win for trying. Like the simple fact, Eli stepped in here because Eli's one of those young men. Like I always told him, I was like, bro, just be yourself. Like there are people that are just like you out here in this world. That's why I really wanted to meet you too. But I remember when you said, like, women don't make as much as men because nobody wants to see them compete. And where was the lie? At that moment, they just didn't. And it's the market. It's the market-based value. Like the women's national soccer team, you'd admit, yeah, everybody wants to see them compete because they're really fucking good.
Everybody loves watching Ronda Rousey when she was with everybody. Like there's women we want to see. Flow Wrestling had these matchups for certain women. We wanted to see Helen and, for example, or like Vicky Anthony and Hildebrandt, or Cara and Tamira, not them wrestling each other, or Adeline and
the cards.
Yeah, like, Allie Reagan and Helen. These were matches people wanted to see. But it just so happened that there's only a select few of them. It's only those few that Flo was willing to put on a card with Dake and Shimizu, myself and Taylor. Like that was the card, and then these same women that are getting offered the opportunity to compete turn it down. I mean, I wrestled for free. Then I got $500. Then I went to the World Championships, took Nikki Rod on 3 days notice, giving up 40 pounds, made like 25, 3,000. Now they're offering, now I'm getting 10 bands, 15 bands, 25 bands. But that didn't come overnight.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I'm competing and I'm building a brand. You know, now I had 60, 70,000 followers and I'm marketing this sport. And then what's wild to me about the whole thing is I get out to be the scapegoat for speaking some shit that everybody already knows. And then what's Flow go and do? They capitalized off of what I brought to the public's attention. The very next month was an all women's wrestling card. The very next month was a Greco-Roman wrestling card. So what I did was acknowledge something because I'm the only one staying and watching the women wrestle. I know every woman on the motherfucking national team. Ask any of the women. I watch, I know them. I pick up technique from Helen. I grew up wrestling with Helen. She was 2 years older than me, whipping my ass at the Sarnos. What? I'm not ashamed that I lost to a woman. No, like I love women wrestling, but the only way like we can grow it is if we're willing to speak about the problem.
See, and that's the thing.
Talk about that.
That's the thing. Nobody wants to talk about the problem. So, like, when you're not able to talk about a problem, you're just like, oh, well, there's a problem. Like, there's a problem in this world. You got to say something about it. And the longer that people remain in silence, the longer problems are going to precipitate. So I'm going to let Eli jump in here and ask a question because, he's a young man. He's a former wrestler, but he wasn't as good as you, trust me. Yeah. He's never going to be as good as you.
How old are you, bro?
I'm 18. I'm about to be 19.
Okay. Oh, you still got time, bro. I'm 31.
Yeah.
My best days are arguably behind me. Yours are ahead of you, so keep that in perspective.
Yeah, I try to, just prepare for the best, prepare for the worst. So keep my body healthy.
Well, ask him a question.
I don't know. Okay.
Oh, Lord. The boy had like 100 questions like, oh, what do you think? And he's like talking about like, well, what should I be focusing on, striking or ground game? Like he was asking me this stuff. I was like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, well, because like I have like a bit of history. I'm more striking oriented, and like I'm more like athletically comfortable on my feet. But I know that wrestling is equally as important, or probably more important, actually, the most important.
I don't know. Ask the guy.
I mean, I was looking at the breakdown the other day of champs over time, and I want to say if we talk about grappling and striking, and grappling encompassing wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and striking encompassing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, all the different art forms, regular boxing, knees, elbows, the 8 limbs. You see it's about an 80-20 spread in favor of grappling, 80% grapplers. So I'm at the point now where I thought that just my wrestling alone and grappling alone would get it done because of that kind of metric there, but the game being MMA has evolved so much that anybody that's a master in one thing and is one-dimensional is going to get exposed. Now outside of the baseline of being healthy and in shape, you got to kind of can't put all your eggs in one basket. You got to be equally skilled. 33.33% in all three facets of your wrestling, your grappling, your striking, your jiu-jitsu. You can't leave any stone unturned, especially the level of the game's at now. Or you're just, what is the quote? Fail to prepare, you prepare to fail.
Yeah. Yo, so on that note, then, where do you think the game's going? Like, because I've been watching some MMA fights lately. First off, I watched a boxing fight, right? I watched that Tyson Fury fight.
That was
that shit was rigged like a mother.
I think it was more of a draw. It wasn't a robbery, but
it was rigged.
It was obviously rigged because boxing is the most corrupt sport there is.
Yeah. And you also gotta take the champ out, right? I mean, if you're gonna take the belt, you gotta beat him convincingly, which I thought he did enough to win, especially with that 10-8 round. But what do I know? I never boxed a day in my life, I do think, I mean,
look, this dude box some heads in.
Yeah, I ain't got these big old dick beaters for no reason, man. But what I'm getting at is, I think Tyson Fury put on for MMA, and he even though he in theory lost because of the judging, he won. To go in that man's world and go 10-30 minutes with that big giant, one of the best ever, the best of the generation as far as heavyweights go. I mean, that's a win. He didn't do it himself. He didn't embarrass himself. He did. he did
Now,
good work.
just in general, with the MMA game, you've seen a lot of people are now realizing this. They're like, I didn't know you were from Baltimore. I got a message, but I was talking to someone, and they said the MMA game is changing rapidly.
Changed more than any sport ever in a short period of time.
And each time there's a new ideation. Well, because of what?
It's the youngest sport. It's the youngest sport. Think about how in comparison to every other sport it's been around. Wrestling been around, fucking running first sport. It's not going to change that much. It's already stood the test of time. MMA hasn't. MMA is, in comparison, it's a fetus. So the evolution is going to be. You're going to see new techniques. You're going to constantly see new schematics. You're going to see, the evolution is part in everything, but in MMA specifically, I mean, I think we're just scratching the surface of what, it's going to be when I'm, 30 years down the road, when I'm an old 60-year-old man. I'll be watching it and I'll be like, God damn, I'm glad they weren't doing this shit when I was around.
I say that now.
Exactly. I say that now with wrestling, because nowadays I didn't grow up to have flow. I didn't grow up and have every top world class athlete's technique at my disposal. You got Fanatic Wrestling, all of your favorite athletes' technique on the internet. Everybody scouted, so no technique is going to be hit. You're not just going to surprise somebody. I used to just walk in and headlock my way through a state tournament. You think the whole world wouldn't know I'm throwing everybody now? It's hard, damn near impossible for me to get an upper body tie up in the circuit, because everybody, your shit's out there. They know what you're going to hit them with. Now what are they doing? They're hand fighting, they're circling, they're shooting, they're faking, they're evading. It's like chess, right? It's literally like chess. Like they know what move you're going to make, and they got the counter ready for what you're going to do. So it's really cool to see the evolution of. I mean, they say every decade gets better, right? Even like if you look at basketball, back when Jordan or Wilt Chamberlain, 7 feet tall, dunking
the sky was the move.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 100-point games. He's out there playing with like milkmen and stuff, like guys that are like dad. Like nowadays, everybody's a goddamn giant. That shit wouldn't happen nowadays. Like, what are we talking about? We're comparing apples and oranges. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like when people say the GOAT, I'm like, yo, yeah, there were some great technicians, like Dave Schultz of the world. You've got Lee Kemp. I had a great conversation with Lee Kemp. After he came back from vacation. Most people know he went on. Lee Kemp went on vacation.
Yeah.
Did a couple years, but when he came back from vacation, and he was like, man, technique's really good these days. That was what he just flat out said. He goes, technique's really good these days. I'm learning.
Yeah.
That man from like 1975 to 1980, untouchable. But he's like, I'm learning the new technique now. And I watched you. So I used to be a master of the body lock. I watched your positioning for the body lock, and I'm like, yo, that's way better than me. And I'm only, 9 years older than you. So that just the gap.
I can sit there and do a whole clinic on just a body lock. If time gets by and I get brought in for a seminar, people that are really, really skilled, there's so many nuances and little subtleties and these idiosyncrasies with, overhook leg forward, hand position and center of the spine, what type of lock we're going to do, where's the elbow at. I mean, it gets broken down to such, a fraction that this shit matters at the highest level. Two men are equally, we're both trained well, we're both in shape, we're both conditioned, we both have good technique. This is what's going to separate you from, winning a U.S. Open title or not. Watch me with Heflin in the finals. I mean, he's a master upper body guy too. You see what he did to David Taylor from the chest wrap. You've seen him chest wrap. I mean, we might not like each other, but I'm not going to discredit this man. I give credit. You know what I mean? Like I don't fuck with dude, but damn, he can wrestle. So I had to be very precise in the timing and the everything about that, or else, I end up living and dying by the same sword. I would have been the one on my neck.
Man, that hurts too. If you ever fucking try to throw that, you land on your neck, you're like, damn.
Exactly. You're on the wrong side of the highlight too. And nowadays we got to hear that from the whole goddamn internet.
All right,
Replay that shit.
I was going to pivot real quick, and I'm going to ask about New Jersey RTC. You know, I know it wasn't the experience that you thought it was. You know, for me, I always thought New Jersey RTC was a good fit for you originally. I really did. I thought it was going to be a good fit for you because the Humphreys was there, and I thought that kind of like that mixture, the balance that the Humphreys had, that not the Humphreys, you know, he and his wife have, of the balance between having fun and getting the work done. I thought it was going to be a good balance for you between work and fun, but you know, was it just the tweets, or was there just more to it that over the course of several months or something, or was it just the tweets?
No, I mean, so I'll give you the timeline, and you know, before I get into this, you know, the Humphreys, you know, his father, silver world medalist, you know, great coach as well. You know, coached some Olympic champions, was the USA coach. So Reese has a great mind, you know, and his accolades speak for themselves. 3-time world team member, you know, Ohio State national finalist, you know. Reese can just flat out wrestle. And I thought it was going to be tough to learn from somebody because he was so much lighter. I'm like, man, that little guy shit don't work with we're real. You know what I mean? You ever see all the little dudes scrambling? You're like, who does that at heavyweight? But now you see Gable Stevenson, best heavyweight in the world, moving like a little mug. So, you know, that shit really does work. At the end of the day, you know, technique's technique. So I learned so much from him. And he's not like a guy like Slay who's just going to teach you what he did. Slay's knee pound blast double, you know. Knee pound blast double. I wrestled over 1,000 matches. I ain't never done one knee pound blast double in my life. I'm not built like a stubby T-Rex. You got to be able to coach according to your athlete. You know what I mean? And Reese really does a good job of that, getting the best out of not just me, all of his athletes. You know, you see, you know, you give him anybody and he'll find a way to make you better. So, you know,
Nate Jackson. Yeah.
Nate and I mean, great. We made each other so much better. I mean, stylistically, polar opposites. You know, stop. But man, that he's a big reason why I was able to beat Miles Martin, and I'm a big reason why he was able to beat guys like Sammy Brooks and get over his humps. You know, guys that were more my style and him. You know, so we complimented each other a ton, and the mojo was right there. And by that I mean, like, we're playing basketball to warm up. We're always playing a game. We're vibing outside of the room. The camaraderie was there. I never wanted to miss a workout because I'm there with my dogs. So that's my dudes. Like, you know, I had living with CJ Brucky. Meredith came through. We had Tyler Graff. I mean, we had all these different personalities all meshed together. And the NJRTC was a great vibe. And the results spoke for themselves, right? I mean, I still never lost with Reese in my corner domestically ever. We're undefeated. So we're still really cool and really close. But so the way shit hit the fan was I went and did that grappling match where I competed with Gordon Ryan in jiu-jitsu, and then he competed against me in wrestling. And that was about a month before the Olympic trials. So I really messed up my ankle in that match. I had to call the paramedics on myself in the hospital. And I'm feeling like a fucking idiot because I got offered 10 grand to do it. I'm like, shit, I need the money. Wrestling, even though I'm on the world team, still don't pay that well. I got to go win a world title.
Stipend. It's like a $300 stipend in insurance.
$500. The best thing about it is the insurance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I never had my own insurance before. My granddad, I was always on his plan at 26. So from that area, I'm like uninsured. I'm like getting new teeth and stuff. I'm like, hell yeah, city boy done came up. I'm like, let me call that doctor. I said, I got some insurance. I thought I was the man, right? I'm like, shit, this is what y'all rich people feel like? I'm insured. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm listening to my daddy and my granddaddy, like, why are you going to do this before the Olympic trials? I'm like, well, why not? He thinks he can beat me. I'm a white belt. I got nothing to lose. He submitted Bo Nickel and then got the mic and said, I can beat Pat Downey in wrestling. So this man's putting my name in his mouth, talking wild shit. I'm like, no, the hell you can't, buddy. I don't care how big how many steroids you do. There's not a day in this world. I don't care if I ain't wrestle another day in my life. You're not going to beat me in wrestling. Like, this is not happening. Now, I didn't go saying I'm going to beat him in jiu-jitsu, but I was going to make it a whole lot more competitive than he made it wrestling. You feel me? That was my whole principle, to show the level, you know. And I'm not even the pound for pound best wrestler on the planet. He's calling himself the pound for pound best jiu-jitsu practitioner on the planet, you know. So imagine what Jaden Cox would do to him, or a Snyder, or somebody, a Sajulayev, or whomever. I can go on and on. I got 50 names that could do that same thing to him. So for him talking wild, it was more of like a pride ego thing. Like I just had to stand on that business. Like this has to be, nipped in the bud. And the fact they wanted to throw 10 bands for me to do it, I couldn't turn it down. And I'm like, well, so what? I get hurt. I got insurance. So I end up, as fate would have it, injuring the shit out of my ankle. Call the paramedics on myself, get some ice delivered and some crutches so I can catch the flight the next morning. And I don't know how, but by the grace of God, I was walking again. I woke up and I was fucking damn near healed. I get to practice with the NJRTC, and because I just traveled and competed, they're not going to have me wrestle today. So I still come in to get a workout in, hit the Airdyne, ride the bike, watch the team train, sauna it out. So typical day, I'm hooping with the guys playing basketball, and I get hung on the rim trying to dunk. And I come down right on my coccyx and hairline, fractured my tailbone. This is the real injury. So I heal from the ankle. I'm good. And I fucking break my back. And this is like 3 weeks before the Olympic trials. So I'm losing my mind. I'm getting stem cells. I'm getting PRP. And I'm walking like an old man. I'm like, how am I going to wrestle? And this is really fucked up to say, but from my perspective, when that COVID cancel happened, I was like, hallelujah. Because now the Olympic trials are postponed. You remember?
Yeah. So you can be like, oh, I can heal. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah.
I'm like, wow, we're good. I don't have to compete in 2 weeks. I'm good. And then ended up being really bad. 27 club. I almost died a few times. I kind of like wrestling has always been directly proportional to my, because I was preparing to train for the Olympic trials. I was focused. I wasn't in Baltimore. I wasn't, doing all the other things that come along with the Baltimore stuff. And, long story short, I was in a terrible car accident. His face got stitched up, ate some bad press pills, the fentanyl epidemic, it's really bad. I've lost a lot of friends to it. And I almost became another statistic like that. And I think that's also has something to do with my frame of mind, tweeting goofy shit 3 a.m. And, so that to answer your question, it wasn't just the tweets. No, it wasn't just the tweets that caused me to lose that. That was the nail in the coffin, if you will. But Reese and everybody there, they could see the frame of mind I was in, and I was in a weird, dark spot. And it's not, like you said earlier, I was on top of the world, and I can't really explain. I can't really explain what makes me the way I am with some of these issues. To self-destruct and me versus me type shit. I got to look in the mirror and deal with that man, because he can be my biggest asset or he can be very detrimental. So, and that's what that was. So, yeah.
I had no idea, Patrick, you went through that. And man, that's rough. Because
shit you want to talk about. Put it on
no, but see, I hear you don't want to, people don't like to talk about it, but like, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. Like, we're all fucked up. Let me say that we are all messed up. Like, most times we don't know what our brothers are going through, but yet we're sitting there judging them. Like, that's why I get upset, is we judge our brothers when it's really like, yo, we should be judging ourselves, because the people who should care about you the most didn't. This is where you learn who your real friends are. Like, when people are like, oh, things are great. Yo, you're the best in the world. We love you. When things are bad, they scatter like cockroaches.
Yeah. When you're the man, though, they want you like flies on a shit pile, ain't they?
Yeah. One bad thing goes wrong, or like, oh, he's messed up. He's had chances. I'm like, yo, if I once told somebody, there was that situation with somebody at Towson, and I said, well, that person deserved that shit. And people don't believe me. I was like, go find out about what that other person did. Go ask about that other person. Right. I'm not going to put the people's name in my mouth, because, I don't mess with that crew. But I was like, go ask about them. When people find out what the truth really is, sometimes they are amazed. They're like, what?
Oh yeah. When they made me out to be a villain as a teenager, like I'm some wild man, unprovoked, fucking breaking people's jaws, so they can eat through straws. Like I'm just a lunatic. Yeah. Run with that narrative. See how that gets you.
Yeah. Go ask what that kid was doing.
How many felony convictions did I get? 0. Come on. Why? I mean, you can charge me all you want, but we're gonna go to court. My family, my history. We take that shit to trial. We ain't going motherfucking You know, I ain't playing shit. And guess what? If he wasn't supposed to have his jaw broken, then I'll sit and do my time like a man, because I ain't gonna say nothing else other than the facts of what happened. He motherfucker had that shit coming, and I looked him right in the face when we was there. I said, you can sit here and lie to your attorney and your mother and your friends all you want, but you and I know I ain't just break your jaw unprovoked.
Exactly. Like I told folks, I was like, well, you know, you didn't just do it for no reason. Oh, you just don't. I'm like, man, y'all, you see, that's why I call it jock riding, because the truth is somewhere in the middle. Like, you can't just believe one person. You got to get the whole picture. And that's why I always said, like, I don't judge. And for you, Pat, I know we're at time. I just want to say that, you know, brother, I love you. I want you to know that I'm going to keep praying for you. I want to see you succeed. Tell us where people should be looking for Pat Downey, the third PD3, where they should be looking for you, how they can get in touch with you, and how they can reach out to you.
That's love, Akil, man. Again, you're my guy. We go way back, and it was cool of you to reach out, and I really appreciate you taking your time and using your platform, allowing me to have a good conversation. Nice meeting you too, Eli. Maybe if you've got any questions that come back to you, you know, not on the spot, on the moment, feel free to shoot me a DM. You follow me on Instagram and Twitter, all that shit, Pat Downey. You know, I keep it simple. And I'm not gonna drop my next move, but do mark my words, it will be my best move.
All right, brother. Well, hey, everybody, as always, thank you for joining us here on the Sunday Funday Podcast. Your hangover never sounded so good. Thanks, Pat Downey, for coming on. Eli, next time, ask more questions. And everybody at home, hey, do me a favor, touch glass, tell someone you love them, and remember, there is hope, even when there's hopeless. On Sunday Funday Podcast, your hangover never sounded so good. Deuces.
Peace. You got that shit down, man. That was fun.